This episode of Now This Is Lit is brought to you by Audible. Check the link in the description to get your first Star Wars audiobook free. Everyone loves free things. Click that link. Do it. This show is also brought to you by our patrons. If you want to support the show in a different way, with just $1 a month, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/StarWarsLitPod. You can get a sticker. You can get access to an exclusive show that we do every month that's wild and chaotic and fun and something you can only get by becoming a member of the Patreon. There'll be so many more perks very, very soon. But for now, do you want a sticker? Do you want a sticker that has a Now This Is Lit logo? Because it's fantastic and I love them. But I also want to give them away because there's just a stack of stickers on my desk. So if you want one, $1 a month. Patreon.com/StarWarsLitPod. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. You're listening to Now This Is Lit, a podcast about Star Wars books, the people who make them, and the readers who just can't get enough of them. I'm your host, Meg Dowell. I use she, her pronouns. And yes, it's finally here. My spoiler-free review of Tears of the Nameless by Goerge Mann. The latest installment in the High Republic series. It's late. The book came out over a week ago. This was not my plan, but the review is done because the book is done. Spoiler alert, I loved it. As the story of the High Republic has expanded, various mysteries have continued to unfold book after book, but not for much longer. The series' third and final phase has reached the end of its second act of 3. And if you thought Goerge Mann was going to outdo himself after last year's novel, you're absolutely correct. Raith Silas has almost figured it out, but not quite. The devastating blight overtaking random worlds across the galaxy doesn't make sense. The Nameless are one thing, but a plague turning everything around it to dust? Impossible. Except it isn't. Unfortunately, the survival of the Republic, and any chance it has to defeat the NTIL, depends on figuring out how the Nameless and the Blight are connected, and if there is any way to stop them from destroying more worlds. It's going to take the help of Jedi and non-Jedi alike to get closer to solving the mystery. Yes, I'm talking about Geode. No, I will not apologize. His role in this book may be small, but he will always be the main character to me. Sorry, back to the book. As with many High Republic books, Tears of the Nameless features characters familiar and new. The series is doing its best to keep things as coherent as possible between books. So if you've read previous installments, you'll be able to follow along with this one pretty well. I do highly recommend that you read both Temptation of the Force and Beware the Nameless before this one. It does take place after those two. One thing I noticed with this book in particular is how grateful I am that I've been keeping up with the High Republic comics. They're obviously not essential to be able to enjoy the book, but I am finding more and more that the added context of the comics actually does make me enjoy the book even more, because it ties little details together. It gives some more background to some of the characters and places, and it really just makes the story feel bigger and more intriguing. We're also at the point in the High Republic now where all the pieces are perfectly coming together in a very exciting way. This is me trying to emphasize all the cool things that are in this book without spoiling them. There is a very Jedi-like solution to one of the Order's greatest current threats, and to see it carried out successfully, hopefully, is going to make me cheer out loud while I'm minding my own business reading alone, I promise. There's still a lot we don't know, and there are only a handful of stories left to wrap up this whole thing. But they've had all this planned out for so long at this point that I have zero concerns about them being able to tie everything together neatly and elegantly. This book really proved that for me. What I love most about Tears of the Nameless is that it really doesn't hold back when it comes to challenging its characters. Let's use Raith as an example here. This poor Jedi just wants to find answers to all of his questions, and at points he goes about it the wrong way. Then he is reunited with someone from his past, and immediately rejects them out of grief and anger, someone he can't complete his mission without. So he has to momentarily get over it. But that's such a hard thing to do, especially for a kid. Okay, he's like a teenager, but still. That's the kind of character building you'd think it couldn't happen this late in a series. Yet here we are. Goerge Mann hasn't contributed a lot to these stories in terms of volume specifically, but he knows these characters incredibly well. When it's his turn with them, he absolutely crushes it every time. I cannot wait for him to write more Star Wars. If that's something he wants to keep doing, of course. We're getting so much closer to the end. I'm not ready, but at the same time, I am. This all started nearly 4 years ago now. That's how long we've been with these characters, and how long we've been invested in this ongoing story. But all good things must end, and I'm so sure the end will be worth the wait. I say this a lot, but I'm going to say it again to kind of wrap things up here. Don't skip this one because it's YA. There are a lot of reasons for that, but I'm going to give you one and hopefully it's enough to convince you. There's going to be a very long wait between now and Trials of the Jedi. Let yourself be entertained. Read some of the YA and middle grade. I promise you won't be disappointed. Star Wars: The High Republic, Tears of the Nameless by Goerge Mann is available now wherever you get your Star Wars books. Now This Is Lit is part of the Faraway Fandom Network. It is produced by Devor Mondum and written, hosted, and edited by me. Jose Jimenez designed our podcast art. You can keep up with the show on Substack and Now This Is Lit, and find the show wherever you get your podcasts. There are so many ways you can support the show, and all of those ways are linked in the show description. The newest way is to become a member of our Patreon. For $1 a month, you can get access to an exclusive show and a sticker. And if we get 500 people to support the Patreon per month, I can hire an editor. That would be great for me, and maybe for you too. So if you'd like to support the show with just $1 a month, you can do it that way. Or you can just keep listening and sharing the episodes. That is also helpful, and I appreciate it. For more book reviews and Star Wars Book Celebration, follow Star Wars Book Reviews on Instagram and TikTok.